Next on the news, concerns that pro-abortion demonstrators will target Catholic churches this weekend. Plus,
someone walks into our schools, our grammar schools, our high schools, they know it's a place of welcome.
Catholic schools in Brooklyn and Queens are getting a new superintendent. We'll hear what his plans are. And
it causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. You know, being a parent, it's stressful anyway.
The supply chain shortages hitting parents hard when it comes to finding baby formula. And the four-legged assistant at a dental office that's helping young kids get over their fears. I'm Christine Persichetti. This special edition of Currents News starts right now. Pro-abortion protesters have been gathering this week in states nationwide. Now, there are reports that certain groups will actually target Catholic churches on Mother's Day. There are both protests and praise after that document from the Supreme Court about Roe v. Wade was leaked this past week. Chief Justice John Roberts ordered a full investigation and says it will not affect the court's decision process. The document indicates as of now that the majority of justices plan to vote in favor of overturning the decision that's guaranteed the right to abortions for half a century. Catholic leaders are hopeful while those pro-abortion activists take to the streets. The leaked draft sparking protests across the country. And prompting questions. Chief Justice John Roberts.
Do you plan to investigate the leak?
Seen here leaving his home Tuesday, issued a statement calling the leak an egregious breach. He has directed the marshal of the court to investigate. The court confirms the draft is authentic, but cautioned it does not represent a decision or position of any member on the issues in the case. The nearly 100-page opinion says a majority of justices are prepared to uphold a Mississippi law that would ban abortion after 15 weeks and overturn Roe v. Wade, which established a right to abortion 50 years ago, leaving it to individual states to determine abortion's legality. Justice Samuel Alito authored the draft, stating there's no inherent right to abortion, writing the Constitution makes no reference to abortion and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision. Alito says Roe was egregiously wrong from the start and that its reasoning was exceptionally weak and the decision has had damaging consequences.
I obviously share in what I understand is the widespread chagrin about this very leak.
Cardinal Timothy Dolan found out about the leak as he arrived home late Tuesday night from his trip to visit Ukrainian refugees. New York's Archbishop saying he hopes the leaked document is true.
It's not a religious issue. We're talking about a civil rights issue here, the right to life of the baby, the innocent baby in the womb.
Catholic leaders are praying the High Court will overturn Roe v. Wade. Archbishop Joseph Naumann, former chair of the USCCB Pro-Life Committee, released this statement saying, "This would be a great human rights advancement for our nation. There is no right to abortion in our Constitution. Abortion was certainly not in the minds of our founders." The USCCB's Committee on Pro-Life Activities also released a statement. Archbishop William Lori said the leak reminded us of the urgent need for prayer and action at this pivotal moment in our country. He also said the bishops stand ready to help all pregnant women in need. The court's opinion is not expected to be published until late next month and could still change as draft opinions circulate and justices can change their minds. Dennis Paus, the executive director of the New York State Catholic Conference, refused to comment on the leak, but did tell us this: the leaking of an internal draft opinion of the Supreme Court is an egregious breach of trust and an attack on the integrity of the judicial branch of government. When our highest court cannot operate free of political interference or intimidation, it serves as a stark example that nothing is sacred anymore. While we fervently pray for legal protections of unborn children, we will not dignify the goals of the leaker by commenting on the contents of the draft document. It's a sentiment echoed by Students for Life, a group that seeks to, quote, mobilize the pro-life generation. And they say this leak is an act of desperation.
I think this was an intentional leak to incite chaos and to pressure the justices to change their vote. What we will have in a post-Roe America is a 50-state battle where we will work state by state to make abortion unthinkable and unavailable. And so it really is just the next phase of our work. And in fact, it's really the growth of our work. I mean, this is a momentous responsibility for us.
Their goal is not only to change abortion law, but to change hearts and minds so that people do not think what is legal is moral and acceptable. To get a better idea of where the justices stand, here are their past rulings on abortion. Chief Justice John Roberts has previously voted to uphold restrictions in 2 major abortion cases, including a 2016 case when the court struck down restrictions in Texas on abortion. Justice Roberts continues to believe that case was wrongly decided. In his first term in court, Justice Clarence Thomas actually voted to overturn Roe. He has repeatedly called for it to be overturned ever since. Justice Stephen Breyer has written 2 court majorities in defense of abortion rights in 2000 and 2016. He has never voted to sustain an abortion restriction. Justice Samuel Alito has a long record of pro-life votes and writings. He has voted to uphold every abortion law the court has considered. And even before his confirmation, he voted to uphold a series of Pennsylvania abortion restrictions as a federal appeals court judge. While Justice Sonia Sotomayor had virtually no record on abortion rights before becoming a Supreme Court justice, she has since voted pro-abortion repeatedly. Justice Elena Kagan also repeatedly voting in favor of abortion for more than 11 years. Justice Neil Gorsuch has the shortest record on abortion among the justices, but he did vote for Texas's heartbeat bill and voted to uphold Louisiana's abortion clinic restrictions in 2020. Justice Brett Kavanaugh voted the same, and before his nomination, he wrote extensively on abortion. And finally, Justice Amy Coney Barrett's one public vote was for the Texas law. Barrett has a long record of personal opposition to abortion rights, but has said in the past that Roe's core that women have a right to abortion shouldn't change, but that restrictions should be upheld. If Roe v. Wade does end up being overturned, it will be up to individual states to decide if the procedure is legal. Abortion access will immediately end in 13 states with trigger laws already on the books. Since some pro-life lawmakers have long hoped for this day, these state legislatures have already passed laws that would become enforceable immediately or soon after the court overturns the precedent. In addition, there's speculation that as many as 26 states could ban abortion in the days after the anticipated ruling. If you or anyone you know is experiencing an unplanned pregnancy and wants to keep their baby, there are places to turn to. The Bridge to Life in College Point, Queens is one of those spots, offering services free of charge. They provide pregnancy tests, options for counseling and ultrasound referrals. They also provide pregnancy and parenting support and material assistance. If you'd like their help, just call 718-463-1810. Now to our next big story. Schools in the Diocese of Brooklyn will soon have a new leader, and he's no stranger to the diocese or the classroom. In fact, Deacon Kevin McCormick has nearly 40 years experience, first as a teacher at Xaverian, then for the last 15 years, he was the principal there. And soon, Deacon McCormick will be leading all of the Catholic academies in the diocese. I spoke with him on Thursday and asked what his top priority will be once he makes the transition.
Priority is to continue the good work that's already been done and to move forward with Bishop Brennan's agenda, and which is basically to bring the gospel to as many kids as we possibly can.
So enrollment increased in diocesan academies in 2021 and 2022. So what's your plan to keep that trend going?
We have to sell what we do, and what we do is we sell social capital, we sell strong communities based in the gospel. We sell ourselves as people where they can bring their children and they know they'll be respected and they'll be given a place to grow, to become the human beings we need to help build the kingdom.
Absolutely. So what would you say is the biggest strength of our Catholic schools, and where do they need help?
Without a doubt, social capital. The fact is that when someone walks into our schools, our grammar schools, our high schools, they know it's a place of welcome. That when we do that, we're right on target of setting ourselves there. Now what we also do is now commit ourselves to finding the resources that are needed to bring us into the 21st and into the 22nd century. We need the alums of Catholic education to give back. The sisters and the brothers who were the foundation in 2 generations ago, they're long gone. And now we need to support the faculty and the staff and the administrators of our academies now so they can do that job and do it in a way that can allow them to be the best that they could be and see that they're respected and taken care of.
I want to talk a little bit about technology. Xaverian High School was one of the first schools in the country to bring iPads into the classroom. That was during your tenure. So why is technology so important for education today?
You know, if Maimonides went to a hospital today, he wouldn't recognize it at all. He'd have no clue what was going on. At the same time, if Aristotle came back and he walked into one of our schools, he would probably figure out about 15 minutes that it's a school. The fact is that we need the foundation of education, but the way we do it now is radically different. That doesn't mean we lose the foundation, but it means that we embrace the new. We've been using iPads in our schools since 2011, and when the COVID hit, our kids never missed a beat. Our faculty was right there with them. We have to see technology as a tool, not as some kind of demagogue, but a tool that'll help our kids be able to encounter the world that they're going to inherit.
So important. Are there other programs at Xaverian that you'd like to bring and see throughout the diocese?
The thing with Xaverian, and it's true of any Catholic school, is that we remembered who we were. Strong Catholic foundation, rigorous academics, and a very respectful and predictable discipline. And when you put those 3 things together, and you put that with the whole Catholic identity of who we are, that's what makes Catholic schools terrific and the best bargain in the city.
Now, before you go, really quickly, what do you think of the man that you're replacing? Dr. Thomas Chadzuko is retiring after 19 years on the job.
Dr. Chadzuko is one of the finest educators I've ever known, and he is a good friend. He's someone who I'm going to have on my cell phone and probably talking to him several times a day. I am honored that I get to inherit what he has done, and I certainly will be standing on his broad shoulders as I continue my tenure.
All right, Deacon McCormick, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck on your new job that you begin on July 1st.
Thank you very much.
Following the announcement, the outgoing superintendent of schools for the diocese, Thomas Chadzuko, had this to say: "I am fortunate to be able to reflect on the many joys that this position has afforded me. The greatest joy is the knowledge that our work has impacted the lives of hundreds of thousands of students over the past 3 decades." The Bishop of Brooklyn, Robert Brennan, praised Dr. Chadzuko for his service, saying he truly has championed the growth of our schools and academies through teacher professional development, technology, and curriculum enhancements. He went on to say, "I am confident Deacon Kevin McCormick will expand on that success, given his exemplary work leading Xaverian and his clear commitment to Catholic identity." There's a lot more news headed your way. The Pope wants to meet with Putin. The Holy Father requesting a sit-down in Moscow, how the Russian president is responding. Plus, why you might want to hold off on that next big purchase and instead put your money into your savings. And parents out there want to buy baby formula. They're just having trouble finding it. Why there's a shortage on the shelves.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
Since the war in Ukraine began, Pope Francis has been calling for peace, but he's been doing so without publicly calling out Vladimir Putin by name. That's not what he's doing behind closed doors, though. According to an interview with an Italian newspaper, Francis has reached out to the Russian president and requested a meeting with him in Moscow. Justin McClellan has the story.
Pope Francis asked to travel to Moscow to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin to try to stop the war. But so far, he says he has received no response. Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera published an interview with the Pope in which he says that he fears Putin cannot and does not want to receive him because he believes that the Russian leader will not stop the war at this time. Pope Francis shared that he called the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the first day of the war, but that he will not go to Ukraine without meeting Putin first. He recalled that he has not spoken to the Russian president since last December, when Putin called the Pope for his birthday. He also said that the Hungarian president Viktor Orbán assured him that the Russians have a plan in their meeting, and that on May 9th, the anniversary of Nazi Germany's surrender to the Soviet Union at the end of World War II, everything will end.
That was Justin McClellan reporting. Several reports say Putin may actually formally declare war on May 9th. So far, the Russian president has insisted on calling the conflict a special military operation, avoiding the words war and invasion. Cardinal Timothy Dolan is back home after his trip to Ukraine and its bordering countries. His Eminence has been talking about his experiences in the war-torn country. In a radio interview, Cardinal Dolan said this is his biggest takeaway.
When people say, oh, we're glad you're here, but why did you come? Well, because one of the worst results of war and disaster and grave difficulty is this sense of isolation, that people feel they're by themselves, that no one knows what they're going through, that they're all alone. And if we can come from New York, if we can come on behalf of America and the church, there's just a sense of, Jesus said, I'm with you all days. One of the ways he keeps that promise is when people who follow him are there to help.
Cardinal Dolan spent a majority of his trip visiting Catholic agencies and groups that are helping refugees and displaced people. Testimony from a cardinal claims Pope Francis permitted the spending of more than $1 million to free a kidnapped nun in Mali. Cardinal Angelo Becciu took the stand in his defense for a second day at his Vatican finance trial. Becciu is charged with embezzlement, abuse of office, and witness tampering. The claim he made on the stand revolves around Cecilia Narvaez of Colombia. The Franciscan nun had been kidnapped by Islamic militants in Mali in February of 2017 and was released in October of 2021. The Federal Reserve issued its biggest interest rate hike in more than 20 years to control this severe spike in inflation. Fed officials bumped up the rates 0.5 percentage point to control the worst inflation the U.S. has seen in more than 4 decades. In March, the Fed increased its benchmark borrowing rate by 0.25 percentage point. Economists say big purchases like homes and cars will cost you more now because of the higher rates. The U.S. economy is inching closer to a major milestone. According to Fitch Ratings, the country's labor force is expected to return to pre-pandemic levels by the end of August. Nearly 430,000 jobs were added in April, but the unemployment rate is holding steady at 3.6%. That's just a tick above the pre-pandemic level of 3.5% back in 2019. Despite this, some U.S. businesses say strict COVID restrictions in China are reigniting supply chain problems throughout the world. Companies like Apple, Under Armour, and Tesla are already facing production issues due to the Shanghai lockdowns, and congestion at major ports around the world also isn't helping. According to the Royal Bank of Canada, shipping something from a warehouse in Shanghai to the U.S. currently takes 74 days longer than usual. And a recent baby formula recall is making a supply chain shortage even worse. As Todd Magel reports, it's hitting parents really hard in many communities across the nation.
4-month-old Poppy Feinhardt is fresh from a nap and ready to eat. Her mother, Emma, is lucky this week. She has plenty of infant formula at her Ankeny home to prepare. But gathering this baby food was not easy.
It is stressful. I've had family members they'll go to stores to look, to try to help us find some as well.
Feinhardt and millions of mothers like her are having a hard time finding formula. Last fall, a major formula maker, Abbott Nutrition, recalled some of its products after complaints of illness and even death. In addition, supply chain issues are causing a slowdown in production. Many store shelves are empty.
So normally, this shelf is full of baby formula.
Missy Ream says the problem is a burden for low-income parents at the Bidwell Riverside Food Pantry in Des Moines South Side.
We do have some baby food, but we just don't have any formula at all to offer anyone.
Ream says they usually give out 60 to 80 formula containers a month. Last month, it was just 6.
We're not aware of how they can get a hold of formula right now. It is for sure a need in our community.
Puppy!
So now Feinhardt gets up at 4 a.m. to be the first online at the Target website to order formula. It's another challenge for a new parent.
It causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. You know, being a parent, it's stressful anyway. This is my first time, and I'm learning the ropes, and I never imagined I would have had to look high and low for formula.
That was Todd Makel reporting. That new mother says she's seen price gouging on Craigslist and strange formula substitutes on social media. Still to come on Currents News, the competition was stiff, but the winners have emerged. Next, we'll look back at just some of the beautiful artwork from the tablet's Easter art contest. And the furry friend who's helping ease fears for young patients at one dental office. We always knew there were talented students in the Diocese of Brooklyn, but some budding artists really blew away the judges in this year's Tablet Easter Art Contest. Nearly 300 students from more than 25 schools competed, and the winners were announced. Check it out.
What did you think when you won?
I felt happy. I drew Jesus on the top rising, and there were two angels beside him.
Who told you that you won?
My mom told me that I won, and I was going to baseball.
What did you think?
I was like, that's like really cool. It was hard for me to figure out what everyone else would draw, so I wouldn't draw the same thing as they drew.
I've used oil pastels and a blending tool to make Jesus rising out of the cross to fit the theme of Christ and Risen.
Congratulations to all the winners, and a special thank you to the Knights of Columbus's Archbishop John Hughes Council in Diker Heights for hosting the event. This was the tablet's first awards ceremony to take place in person in 3 years. If you want to get another glimpse of some of the entries, you can pick up an edition of the tablet in churches now. Well, it was a home run of a sale at an auction where a bat once owned by Jackie Robinson sold for just over $1 million. The bat from 1949 came directly from Rachel Robinson, Jackie's widow. The baseball legend used it in an all-star game. The single most expensive piece of Jackie Robinson memorabilia is a game-worn Brooklyn Dodgers jersey. His famous number 42 jersey sold for more than $4.2 million last year. Wow. A lot of people get nervous about going to the dentist. Some are downright afraid of it, and for kids, it can be especially frightening. But one dental practice in Tennessee has found an adorable solution to the problem. Meet Milo, the therapy dog at East Nashville Pediatric Dentistry. He comes out by request to sit with the young patients while they have their teeth cleaned, calming the kids and distracting them from all those drills and tools.
I love the dog, and it's so cute. I want to hold it. He makes me feel warm.
I had been thinking about how I wanted to design my practice, what the vision of my practice would be for years. And part of that puzzle was coming up with almost like a menu of options of how we can make kids comfortable at the dentist.
So cute. Dr. Sandage says some of her patients actually look forward to going to the dentist because of Milo. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.